That night, the storm rolled in without warning. The kind of storm that makes the sky look angry. Thunder cracked so violently it shook the windows of my house, and for reasons I still can't explain, I couldn't sit still. I tried watching television. I tried reading. But something inside me felt wrong. Scarlett Monroe had not called me all day. My daughter was 7 months pregnant. She always checked in, always, even if it was just a short text. At 11:47 p.m. I grabbed my keys. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself she was probably asleep. But when I turned onto Grant Whitmore's street, my heart stopped. The driveway lights were on. The rain was pouring like sheets of glass. And there in the middle of it was my daughter. Scarlett was kneeling on the concrete, her bare knees pressed into the wet ground. Her thin maternity dress clung to her body. Her hair was plastered against her face. One hand held her stomach as if she were shielding the baby inside her. She wasn't crying loudly. She was trying to breathe. And inside the house, through the bright living room window, I saw silhouettes moving casually. Grant sitting comfortably, his mother Patricia sipping tea, his sister Delilah scrolling on her phone. Then I heard it, laughter. Laughter while my pregnant daughter knelt in a thunderstorm. I stepped out of my car slowly. The rain soaked me instantly, but I didn't feel it. All I felt was a cold, steady rage settling into my bones. "Scarlett," I said, kneeling beside her. She flinched at the sound of my voice, then looked up. Her lips were pale, her breathing shallow. "Dad, what happened?" She swallowed, her voice trembled. "I bought a dress, a maternity dress. It was on sale. Grant said I embarrassed him. He said I'm supposed to consult him before spending money." My jaw tightened. "So he put you out here?" She hesitated. Tears mixed with rain on her cheeks. "He said I need to reflect." He locked the door. Locked the door. At that moment, the front door opened. Grant stepped out onto the porch, arms folded like he was managing a minor inconvenience. "This is between husband and wife," he called out. "She needs to understand respect. Respect. For buying a dress." I stood up slowly. The calm inside me wasn't weakness. It was precision. I removed my coat and wrapped it around Scarlett. She was shaking violently now. I slid one arm beneath her knees and lifted her gently. She felt lighter than she should have. As I approached the door, Grant moved to block it. "You can't just walk in here." Lightning flashed. For a second, I saw fear flicker across his face. I kicked the door open so hard it slammed against the wall. The sound silenced the laughter instantly. Patricia jumped to her feet. Delilah dropped her phone. Water dripped from my clothes onto their polished hardwood floor. I looked directly at Grant Whitmore, and I uttered 5 words that changed everything. "She is done with you." Silence, heavy, suffocating. Grant forced a laugh. "You don't get to decide that." I looked at Scarlett. "Do you want to stay?" She buried her face in my chest and shook her head. That was all I needed. The air inside the house shifted. The power dynamic they were so comfortable with cracked in seconds. Grant tried to regain control. "You're overreacting. She's emotional. Pregnancy makes women dramatic." I stepped closer. "Humiliation makes people break." Patricia cleared her throat. "Marriage requires discipline." I stared at her. "You call this discipline?" I gestured toward the rain outside. "I call it cruelty." Scarlett's voice was barely above a whisper. "He said I had to kneel until I understood gratitude." The room felt colder than the storm outside. Grant's jaw tightened. "You're twisting it." "No," I replied calmly. "You twisted something far more important. Trust." I carried Scarlett to the couch and wrapped a blanket around her. She was still shaking. I could see red marks on her knees from the concrete. Grant stepped forward again. "You're not taking her anywhere." That's when I looked him dead in the eyes. "You seem to forget who I am." I had funded part of their down payment. I had helped him when his startup nearly collapsed. I had opened doors for him in rooms he never would have entered alone, and I could close those doors just as easily. I pulled out my phone and called my attorney. I spoke clearly, calmly. "I need emergency consultation tonight." Grant's confidence cracked. "You're going to ruin her marriage." I shook my head slowly. "No, you did that when you chose ego over empathy." Delilah muttered that we were dramatic. Patricia said we were embarrassing the family. I turned to them both. "You laughed while she knelt in the rain. Never speak to me about family again." Scarlett gripped my hand tightly. Dad, I'm scared. I knelt in front of her, just like she had been kneeling outside. You will never kneel for anyone again, I said softly. That night, she came home with me. Within days, the legal process began. Evidence was documented. Messages saved. Witnesses questioned. Grant tried calling, texting, apologizing, blaming stress, blaming culture, blaming pregnancy hormones. But apologies don't erase storms. 3 months later, Scarlett signed the final papers. The day she gave birth to a healthy baby boy, I stood in the hospital room holding my grandson. Scarlett looked stronger than I had seen her in years. Dad, she whispered, when you kicked that door open, I realized I wasn't alone. I kissed her forehead gently. You were never alone. And somewhere in the memory of that storm, I still hear the thunder. But it doesn't sound like fear anymore. It sounds like the moment everything changed.